Exactly. Do what you can. All right. So we definitely talked about a lot. So before we close up here, what are some key points you could offer to, small indie dev teams or solo devs or whoever for that matter that they think that they could, benefit when they're considering to improving their production management?
What can little teams do to improve their production management?
Yep.
Sorry, I spaced out for 1 second.
It's okay.
And look what happens. Using a piece of software, doing a few YouTube videos on like how basic project management works. I mean, it can help you a lot. It is really weird at the start, but when you get used to it, it can really help you get organized. Like I said when we were talking a little bit earlier, a project manager can act as a lubrication for the entire team to make it focused and make it easy to do the work. And I think that is where a lot of small teams need to start, is looking at their processes and looking at their project and saying, how can I make it easy for all of us to get the work done? Because when it's easy to sit down and work on something, you're not wasting those moments procrastinating or being like, I don't really want to do this. Right. So the question is, how do you make it easy for teams to do it? And I think that starting there is the best spot.
Yeah, and it's a good tie-in too with the software too, because like you mentioned before, like, hey, you could like, and I've actually told people this too, whether I commented on Reddit or things. It's like you could get any software and people could say, oh, Asana's great. Oh, Red Booth. Oh, MeisterTask. Oh, like insert here. Because I know a lot about like software
I've
too.
Used Asana and Red Booth.
Yep.
And Basecamp.
Yep, Basecamp, right? But like what it really comes down to is, does it work for your team?
Yeah, can we do a whole podcast about how I hate Basecamp?
I
think
might
it's one of the worst pieces of software. It's one of the worst pieces of software.
I welcome you to.
Oh my God! Don't use Basecamp, everybody.
Yeah.
Don't use Basecamp.
Hey, I think Basecamp has its place, but
yeah, in the garbage.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, I'm being silly. It definitely has its place. It's just not.
You are tired. You've been making a game.
Oh my God, I'm so tired.
A lot of games. I know. All right, so
I've got like 3 more games. Like as soon as this one's done, there's a card game I need to make before GDC. Like I've got part of it prototyped out. I need to finish it because I want to show it off at GDC.
So for context, what was that, like 3 weeks now?
It's 3 weeks, yeah. And I have to make 40 cards, which I have some of the rules of what those cards will be written down.
Obviously, I can see how important I am if you're talking to me right now instead of making the card.
Yeah, like I said, I've been making you wait too long. I was like, I'm just gonna sit down and do this podcast and get you what you need.
Thanks, I appreciate
it. And then get back to work. Yeah, no problem, man. I wish Derek were here.
I know.
Derek would have brought some class to this, but he got me instead.
That's all right. All right, I'm going to push you hard, though, here and ask for one more thing. What is another key point you think? We got software. We got, making sure acting as a lubricator for to make it easier for team members to do the work. What is one other you think is a good key point for people to take away from what we talked about?
Empathy and patience.
Ooh, those are good.
You're going to have vastly different opinions of what you think is good for a project compared to a team member, and taking a step back and having the patience to look at the project and talk to people and have empathy with all right, I see where you're coming from,
right?
I see why you think this is a valuable decision or a valuable idea, and doing that with each other. And knowing that you will get angry, but you need to understand that anger it's not a bad thing. It's how you work with that emotion that can be bad. I can look at a decision that somebody's made on the team and be like, why have you done this? You've really made it more difficult for me. But it's about taking that in and saying, you know what? Analyzing and saying, I see why they did that.
Yeah.
Let me sit down with them and talk about it and see how we can make that idea of theirs now fit into the project, or see how I can get a better view of it myself, or another person on the team, like sit down with them and see how we can get them to get a better view on it. Like there's a lot of really high emotions in it, and being able to be, have empathy with your team and understand where they're coming from and work with them. And also having the patience to do all of that is massive. I think that's the hardest skill set to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a perfect one to throw in there at the end. I loved it. but you're right. You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Having empathy and patience. I mean, with just about anything too, but especially when you're working with your team. And it goes to other levels too, like you said, like, on the empowerment thing and everything else, and shows respect and everything else. And you get solutions and move forward. So perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, respect is another great one too. Like, a lot of people don't, like, I've had people, butt heads with me on what I want out of project management, and I have to put my foot down and say, these are the processes that we've agreed to. We have to follow through with them. And that is not just about getting the project done. It's also about respecting your teammates. If somebody has a role, you need to respect their role. And and then that loops back into the patience and empathy thing. If somebody crosses the line, it needs to be addressed by saying, hey, I feel that you have crossed the line here and we need to discuss it, and not be mad at that. You need to discuss it. Understand that everybody's there to work together, and sometimes things get heated. You just need to sit down and work on it.
Yeah, funny quick story from my college days. I was a film production major, and there's this one guy on one of our film projects, which he was the assistant director, which is essentially the same role as what we're talking about here, product manager and such, project manager. And everybody would always gripe and couldn't stand him and everything else. But then at the end of the course, there was one question that was asked by the professor saying, like, hey, who's the one person that you would want to work with on another project? Everybody picked him, because he got the job done, and they respected that and they appreciated it. So
for sure.
All right. So we talked about it a lot. We had some closing thoughts. Thank you. And, but before we go, I'd love for you to give us, just some information where people can learn more about you if they want to reach out, Waking Oni, and Onsen Master. Where can they go and get this information, dude?
OnsenMaster.com?
Okay.
Hold on. Since I'm in a VR headset, normally I double check these things because I know usually what they are, but then I go and double check because I'm paranoid.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do this in VR.
Well, worst case scenario, I'm like, most people...
I typed it blind. I did it. OnsenMaster.com is the website for Onsen Master.
Okay. These will also be provided in the show notes as well. So in case anything happens from here on out, they'll be there. So OnsenMaster.com.
OnsenMaster.com is the Onsen Master website. Twitter is Lightshaper with an underscore at the end is me.
Lightshaper.
Yes.
Shaper. I always want to say Saber. You trick me every time with that.
Every time. Got him.
All right. So...
And then it's same thing for Instagram if you want to go see my old photography work.
Oh, nice. That's right. That's how we first met. We were talking about our cameras.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Tim, thanks for being on the show. Check out the website, please. OnsenMaster.com. Tim is with Waking Oni. And if you want to get in touch with Tim, he's a very approachable guy, as you can tell. You can do so by checking him out on Twitter, which is Lightshaper with an underscore at the end. But I'll be sure to put them in the show notes as well. Tim, again, thank you for sharing everything you've learned, all your experiences and stuff, and helping the indie dev community with some project management insight. Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, take care. Hey, everybody, and thanks again for listening to Indie Game Movement, the podcast that talks about the marketing and business of indie games. Hey, if you want to check out the show notes for this episode, feel free to do so by going to indiegamemovement.com. And I just want to thank our podcast producer, Mustafa Price, and give a special thanks to Taisuke Kimura, who composed the theme, and Donnie Wilson for the logo design. Just really appreciate your help and hard work, guys. If you have any questions or suggestions for the podcast, feel free to email us at igm@rengenmarketing.com. Rengen Marketing is a company that I co-founded that provides consulting services to indie devs. And on our website, we also provide really helpful, in-depth content on our blog. And we also have a free marketing plan template that you guys can use for your next game. So thanks again for listening right here on Indie Game Movement.